What a busy day today's been, man. So last night I had an instant reaction to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Did a spoiler-heavy review by myself, and then obviously our big thing, Sith Council, with myself and Steph Sabraw. Mike's still not able to be here today, but Steph and I are going to be breaking down the episode, talking about it, and also talk about that Cal Kestis scoop. I don't know if Steph even saw it. No. See? Unbelievable. But we'll talk about that also. And yeah, I got reviews coming out on the channel today. Black Phone, if it's not out already, it will be. Elvis Out of the Theater reaction will be tonight, and a review tomorrow. I got a Thor Out of the Theater reaction on Thursday. It's a busy week, everybody, and that's all on our quest for a blanket. No, you'll hear about that later. It's all on our request to subscribe to the channel. 50,000. We're almost at 50,000. So get us there if you can. Let's do Sith Council. It's myself and Steph Sabraw. Let's talk about Obi. Come on.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back once again to the big thing, Sith Council edition. It's Wednesday, and it is the season/series, maybe, finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was episode 6. It was about a 45-minute episode, give or take. And joining me is Darth Sabraw. Hello, Darth Sabraw.
Hello.
How are you? Look at you.
So good.
How about him showing up?
I was like...
You excited about him showing up?
Yes, everything about the episode.
Did you love it?
I loved it.
Okay.
I was eating it up like a kid. I was just...
It's hilarious, though. We were normally, before this series started, you and I think we're on the same page with everything. So I liked a lot about this episode, and what I said in my review this morning was, I think this was a really good finale for the show that we were given. That being said, there's a lot that is very disappointing. This show is very sloppily written. There's so much in this episode alone that I'm going to ask you questions for you're not going to have the answers to. And I'll start with this one.
Okay.
You remember that episode 4 in New Hope?
Yeah.
When Luke says, "What's this?" And he goes, "That's your father's lightsaber." Well, he could have also said to him, "It's also the same thing that woman had when she was chasing you around in Tatooine. What's the Force? The Force? Remember when you were running around on the hill and that lady was coming after you? When she threw you on the ground, she used the Force." Like, and Owen and Beru, I mean, they're fighting an Inquisitor, and yet they get killed by stormtroopers who can't hit jack squat from 50 yards out. That's a nitpicky one out of all of them. But there are so many things, and the Reva turn that we saw coming before. But it wasn't
like a full turn.
What? What are you talking about?
I was super satisfied with if they were good. Okay, so interestingly, how you said it was a great finale for what we got. I viewed it as I understood now the story they wanted to tell, and it was a great finale for the story they wanted to tell.
And I love that you feel that way. I really do. I'm not being condescending.
Yeah, no, totally.
I love that you feel that way. I just do not feel that way. But I will say that when I was watching the show, I enjoyed it, and the fight was really good, right, between Obi-Wan and Vader. But the same thing started going through my head. I'm like, this is a great choreographed fight. The visuals were stunning.
Yeah.
Some of the art was out of control good, but I wasn't as invested as I should have been. Like, when you've seen, like, are you going to tell me that when in Rebels, when Ahsoka fought Vader and did the same exact thing, slashed his face and everything, done way better, and also done better because the music, they finally used music at the end of the show.
Yeah,
not during that fight.
Music.
Leia's music, the Imperial March, they used all of it. But at the end of the show, and it's like, oh, here you go, just a little bit before you. And it's like, if the one argument is, well, Vader didn't really turn into the Imperial March until that scene, and that's when he's going full Vader, so that's why. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But why not use Battle of the Heroes or Duel of the Fates when they're battling each other in that classic, like, this is an emotional moment, because there's a great moment that Obi-Wan has in this episode where he says to him, "Anakin, I'm sorry for everything."
Oh my God, it broke me.
It was great, but
I was
like
crying so hard.
But don't you wish the whole show would have been about him trying to get him back? And like he thinks about it like 6 times during the whole show.
Yeah, I thought about that, but then I was like, it might have been not as effective to constantly go back to it.
I think you're just telling yourself things.
I don't know. Like, to me, it was so effective, that end scene. Like, they finally meet up. Anakin's already gone at this point, but he hasn't, like, fully faced Obi-Wan, which is a part of the process, in my opinion, to get to full Darth Vader. Like, when they face off in A New Hope, he says something like, you were once the master and I was but a learner.
Yeah, he's like, now I am the master.
Yeah, that makes that moment in this episode more powerful to me, because it's true. It's like, at this point, he was still coming at him like with way too much rage and passion, and it blinded him.
Yes, and even when he's those moments when he's chasing after him, when the Inquisitor tells him, dude, we got to go after them. Don't worry about Kenobi. And he's like, shut up, stupid. I'm going after him. And Inquisitor's like, all right, cool. But like that, the blind rage, all of it. But even when he gets there, I mean, that moment, it's just, I don't know. There's just that whole series I felt should have been focused more on him and Obi-Wan, this character study of my friend's alive. What can I do? And really going after that moment that they showed in that episode 1 recap of everything that had happened, of Padme saying there is still good in him. I just didn't feel it was explored enough, but you felt it was.
Yeah, I feel like there could have been more moments where, like, you know, when we got to see that one scene where, I think it was in episode 3, it went back and forth between Vader in the bacta tank and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And I thought that, without saying much, explained the pain that this man has been living in since Mustafar, or even beginning before that.
Yeah.
But I do wish there was more, like, I've always thought about this with Darth Vader, but I understand, like, I wish there was more, like, talking with him, like, internal monologue almost, where you can kind of, like, sift through his emotions and choices and feelings. But I get that he is a character of a few words.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to get that much of him. But I hear what you're saying. Like, there's a...
Yeah, it's even to discover, like, more, like, what he was going through, or even, and he doesn't even have to be the one saying it. Like, I don't know, there's just something about it that just didn't play out. Like, and I'll be, again, I liked the episode. I remember how much I was looking forward to this series. I thought this was going to be like the next great piece of Star Wars content. Like, great. Like, it's good. But, like, we haven't had great Star Wars content since, like, Return of the Jedi. Great.
Like,
and people will say, what about, Revenge of the Sith? I think those are good movies. Now I do, and way more so than I used to in the past. I think they're good, great movie, and to me, Empire Strikes Back is a great movie. Yeah,
it's perfect.
Return of the Jedi has its issues, but it's still, to me, it's a great Star Wars movie. It's a great Star Wars movie. I don't know. This just wasn't. I feel I'm going to take that back. I think Mandalorian Season 2 is great Star Wars content.
What do you think's the biggest difference for you then? Like, what makes that great, and then some of the Obi-Wan not?
It's a tone.
Okay.
It's a tone. I feel like a lot of the tone sometimes felt like the writing wasn't as solid in this series. There's great visuals, for sure, and there's some moments that really play really well and work really well. But sometimes it felt cheap when it shouldn't have. Sometimes it looked cheap when it shouldn't have. It feels like the same part of the universe in Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. It feels like part of the overall universe. This sometimes feels like a different show. Sometimes not as disconnected as I was with, like, Boba Fett.
Yeah,
like, Boba Fett sometimes just felt like it was out of, like, Spy Kids or something.
Yeah,
but not
in the sense that I feel like, to me, I walk away with, I feel like they wanted to connect the prequels and the original trilogy, and they wanted to blend the styles and the tone, and show Obi-Wan going from a scared man who was hiding and saying that he was protecting Luke, but not really doing that. Right. He was just disconnecting to the Force, to him becoming the master again.
Yeah.
That,
I like
to
that
me,
stuff.
is all, like, they did that.
So they did that where, I mean, that's ultimately why Qui-Gon wouldn't show up. And by the way, we can say Liam Neeson's a liar, right?
Liar! Liar!
Right, he had to be a liar, but he was a full-on liar. His excuse of not.
Come on!
I don't do television was
Talk
hilarious.
about someone else who's aged incredibly well.
Yeah,
he looks awesome.
They did that well, and I don't know. So let me see. I'm gonna show some of these, but they did the same thing again, Steph, in this episode that they did in episode 4 with the interrogation scene. How many times is Obi-Wan going to tell everybody he's leaving?
Oh, about
in
Leia?
the ship.
I knew. Yeah, I
Right?
knew you were gonna.
I'm leaving. I gotta go.
I did a TikTok like watch along, and I said they're not gonna get a goodbye, and then I was like, oh, they got a goodbye, and then I was like, oh, they got a third goodbye.
It's like when you go to a party. You know how awkward it is when you go to a party and you're at a party and you're like, all right, I gotta go, and then it's a double goodbye. Oh, sorry, I'm leaving.
Or you're
again.
walking in the same direction,
right? Or it's I gotta go. It's like he like quadruple goodbyes. He says, I gotta go, guys. You know, I'm gonna leave. Well, you can't leave us. You guys have been, and I love that moment. You've been protecting the Jedi. I'm gonna help you guys. I gotta go. Don't leave, Leia. Listen, I gotta go. And then O'Shea Jackson Jr. What are you doing? I gotta go. He's telling her, just get off the ship. Go. We get it.
It's a big deal. Yeah,
it's like, but that's what I meant by the writing.
There's like some callbacks,
but it is a big deal. But like, why not? But why not do it within one massive scene? And that took like 6 or 7 minutes. And I get it. We're leading up to the fight, and when we get to the fight, it's they pitched us the rematch of the century, and it really was classic Obi-Wan versus classic Vader. The fight was fantastic. I think it would have, like, I cannot wait to see the YouTube videos of actually getting rid of the music that they have and putting in like classic music. I think it's going to make it feel even better because it did that for episode 3.
I love the rocks.
Oh wait,
the use of rocks.
Hold on, brother man. Can you hear me?
Why, hello.
Okay, look, I'm going to bring him in a second. So I have a very special.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me? Oh, hold on.
Check.
Oh wait, shoot.
Oh, you're muted.
Check.
No,
1, 2.
I can't get in. Oh,
hello.
Shoot, hold on. I can hear this. I got JAMIE COSTA here.
I'm not sure if I'm doing it right.
I'm texting him. Let me see. I'm trying. I can't get in for some reason. I can't. Can I? No, because of my settings. Darn it. Can I do this? Let's see.
I think I hear somebody.
I'm gonna try this. Let's see. Can you hear me, Jamie?
Yes, I can.
You can. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Great. Okay, you're not going to be able to see me, so I'm going to bring you into the room, though. Hold on a second. Give me a second. I'm bringing in the great JAMIE Costa. Hold on a second. Just give me a second to see if I can do this here. Almost there. Oh, look at that. I got Jamie.
Hey.
Jamie, we can see you, but you can't see us. So just so you know.
You know, that story of my life.
All right, let's bring in JAMIE Costa. All right, JAMIE Costa is now with us, and the fans can see him. We can see him, but he can't see us. All right, Jamie, we've been talking about this episode here. You texted me earlier about it. Give me your thoughts on it, and then we'll go back and forth, and I'll tell you what my thoughts are and what Steph's thoughts are.
So I really loved this episode. It was more of what I was looking for, and I think it highlights where it would have been fun to see. I never had an issue with Reva, but I would have liked to have seen her less in this particular series or give her own series, and I would have been all in. But the juicy stuff all came in, I think, on this episode, and I was really excited and happy. It was really cool to see some of this stuff, and I think they did do pretty good job on some of the loophole dialogue stuff, but.
Yeah, it's funny because I was telling Steph, because Steph is looking at me like a disapproving parent right now, because I definitely had my issues with I think that what it is, Jamie, the overall series didn't land the way that I kind of hoped it would, because you and I spoke about this years ago, where the idea of whether it was an Obi-Wan movie or an Obi-Wan series would essentially be him cut off from the Force. But on purpose, and the fact because he didn't want to be tracked down, and then realizing that Anakin was alive and being called back into it, and trying to deliver on that promise to Padme that there is still good in him, and leading up to that line that ultimately in Jedi we hear of Obi-Wan once thought as you did. And I thought that that's what we were going to get throughout this series, and it's sprinkled in there, but it wasn't the main focus. And whether the main focus was, like you said, whether it was Reva's story or whether it was him more so having this new connection with Leia, which I thought Leia was even more concentrated on, maybe more so than she should have been, because it adds a little bit too many. And I love the girl who plays Leia. I just think it adds a little bit too many issues with what a connection they had by the time in episode 4 that they meet or reconnect, or kind of reconnect.
Yeah, too much. I would have actually preferred. I love the little dose. And in fact, I could have handled like the Reva stuff the same way. Like, give us a dose. Same if you were to bring Kenobi into a Vader show or another show. You just give them a dose towards their story and their series. But you wouldn't want to override their series with Kenobi, because then that would be distracting. But yeah, I love Leia Obi-Wan stuff. I just maybe take that down to about like 1/5 of what happened between them, so that it wouldn't be too much like, hey, Leia, you know, like later down the road.
Yeah, Steph, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
No, I agree with that. I think that's a good point. Like, I did really like Reva. I actually loved how they tied up her story. I think if you're gonna introduce a character like that, they ended up, after that, I think it was second episode, we didn't get as much Reva. I feel like people got really afraid that the whole thing was gonna be Reva, but I'm okay with the amount we got. In a great, like, perfect world, it would have just been like Obi-Wan, Vader, and then Palpatine and Qui-Gon showing up, but I'm good with it.
Yeah. I agree. I think I think it would have been nice to kind of level it out so that our focuses were strong. And I think, Harloff, you put this in your little quick reaction. I love the way you put it, to where like the way stuff landed on us in this episode today could have been really strong if we would, gauged a couple of other things differently arriving.
Well, Jamie, you just proved to me that you should be on the show, because you're the only person that watches stuff I do when you're not on a show. Right, Steph?
I do sometimes. Come on.
I'm kidding.
Jamie.
Steph, I think Steph, she does her homework.
She does. I'm kidding. Steph's the best. But that was kind of what I was saying to Steph before I brought you in, was that was one of my issues, is that the fight, I loved the fight in this episode. It was great. But imagine two things, and I know we're on the same page on my second point here, but the first point is, imagine if the whole thing was this lead up of Obi-Wan trying to get his friend back, to where he ultimately decides, I got to try to challenge him. I'm going to see if I can get him back. And then when that moment happens at the end where he's like, Anakin, I'm sorry, and he says to him, I killed. And it's like, it was a crushing moment. But imagine the level of crush that would have come had that series been about that. And the second part, where I know we're on the same page, is the lack of music in this series was depressing.
Yeah, and I guess they kind of showed us a little bit in a way where they kind of almost purposefully didn't let us hear it until they just dumped it on us today.
Right, right, and that to me that's kind of what they were saying in that scene, was like, well, look, that's leading into the music that but it's like, yeah, but what about Battle of Heroes? What about Duel of Fates? Like.
Yeah, I think they could have done with these again. I think it shows how much they could have lessened even the interactions with Leia, so that if we would have had about half or even less interaction of Leia Obi-Wan stuff, which again I loved, but it give us about half, so that it's even bigger punch. You could have leaned into little subtle notes of the Leia themes and stuff like that, and then have it really come rushing in. At the end with the big punch. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Steph, I'm going to show you a couple shots that as we talked about. Oh, before we do that, I want to ask you another thing, Steph. So why does everyone let everyone live in this show? And
that was dumb.
And for a lot of different things. One of the things that I'm playing the role of Mike Kalinowski today. I realize that, but I just had so many questions after it, because like I said, in my immediate reaction, I liked it, but I just had so many questions where one of the big problems, and I thought Moses Ingram did a fantastic job in this episode. It was her best acting so far out of everything that she did. And I think that I think it was the writing that was the issue, not her. I think she was really good in this episode and did what she was asked to do, and more so, right? But the problem with the scene with her to me, it was super predictable. You knew it was going to happen, because the issue is when you show up and Luke is running around. Well, we know Luke's not going to die. We know that, right? So when she has this moment where she pulls the saber back and puts it over her head, normally you're going to be like, oh my God, is she going to do it? We know she's not going to do it. There's in no world is she gonna do it. We know Vader's nowhere to be found at this point. We know the Inquisitor's off eating Papa John somewhere, right? So we know all these things that are happening. It's not going to happen. So it takes away that moment, because it's coming. Like, it's hard, and this is where I give Deborah Chow and and everybody, you know, a pass, because it's hard to make prequel anything because you know what's going to happen to the characters.
Yeah.
So that's probably the reason why you create a character like Reva, because you got to go, you know, if my excuse would be, or my defense if I was them was, well, you guys know what's going to happen to Obi-Wan. You know where Vader and Luke and Beru and Owen, you know where they're all going. You don't know anything about this character. The problem is that we figured it out before you even put her on screen. You knew it was, and that was the issue with it. So it took that away. She lets him live, and then jumping back to Vader, Obi-Wan is the most irresponsible Jedi of all time and lazy as hell. Because
it was crazy in this episode today where he's like, are you okay with, you know, giving a lying Jedi guy the responsibility of Leia? And Obi-Wan's like, I sure am. See you later. And then, like, I was like, what?
That's one thing. Okay, that's because at least he gambled with that one, and Camille took care of her, and he took a gamble. He's like, I got a good feeling about this guy, and he was right. So I'll give him a pass on that one. You had Vader dead to rights twice, and the first time you could have just stuck him like a marshmallow. He's done, right? But you let him go because of everything. The second time, he just told you that he murdered your friend. He just said, you didn't kill Anakin. I did. Oh, all right. See you later, Darth, and leaves. What are you doing? After that, because of that, Vader goes and kills so many more people that Obi-Wan is now responsible for, because he had Vader was toast. He could slash him 3 or 4 more times. Vader's dead, and Obi-Wan just leaves him.
There's a whole new meaning to when we watch A New Hope, and he's like, when the whole planet blows up, he's like, I let that happen, damn it.
Yes, 100%. Like you would have put the Emperor at such a problem for the next 9 years if you would have taken Vader out, but you let him go. Like, why? You didn't win there. You lost. You let him live.
I also think this episode kind of highlighted how we could have had a little more lead up to what they gave us today. Like Qui-Gon was kind of like, hey, here we go. We gave you what you want.
Right.
And then Emperor was like, hey, here I am too. Gave you what you want. And then, like, if we would have had a little more trickle of those, and then like a solid, like, oh my God moment with them more on this episode, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, it's what it's what they call like a cheap pop in wrestling, like where all the stuff that we saw was great. Like, I loved having the Emperor back. I loved having Qui, but you're 100% right, Jamie. It's okay to put those in there a little earlier, sprinkle them in there a little bit more. Like, you know, like if you're playing off a nostalgia character and you're playing off of these moments of these characters where you're like, well, we don't want to lean back too much on nostalgia. The show is about Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a nostalgic, legendary legacy character.
Yeah, this is your one show you get the pass.
Yes, lean into it.
Like nostalgia us up and have it reasoned.
Yeah, it's like lean into it, man. So that was what the kind of bummer part of it all was, is that it could have been this character study throughout the whole entire thing. But I think that the reason that myself, Steph, you and everybody are saying how much, whether you really enjoy it, whether you enjoy this particular episode, you cannot deny that there's some fantastic Star Wars imagery going on in this show. Like,
yeah, and in this particular episode, I was giggling a little more and more to myself. Like, I was like, okay, now that I love. You know, like, imagery was more cinematic in this one. And that's what I was actually hoping for. I'm even in my little short film we made, we try to make that thing super high quality and cinematic so that you take it serious. And I didn't get that a lot leading up to this episode. But when I did, I treasured it. What provided that a lot was the performance of Ewan McGregor. I was like, every time he performed, it might be his strongest episode. I was just like, I was so like, I don't even care any faults going on. I'm like, this guy's just delivering.
I agree.
And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, when he was like, I'm sorry, I was really not ready for that moment. It was such good acting. But I'm curious, how would you have played out that fight between them if it wasn't like that?
The fight really, I wouldn't have changed maybe anything. It's the lead up from the previous 5 episodes that I would have changed. Things inside of the story that made me more emotionally attached to it, I would have changed music.
Yeah, that's why these fights are so damn good in episode 1 with Maul and things, and then Duel of the Fates, anything, because there's just so much emotion. We've traveled with these characters, and we know why they're fighting so hard, and we've been with them, pretty. And this, we kind of like can watch episode 3 and hop right into this episode and be like, yeah, and it probably actually will hit us. But if we watch this whole series up until this point, the emotion doesn't just totally get you in the gut the way I think it could.
So you would have, but when you guys were like, he left Darth Vader, which I agree.
The end.
Yeah. It's like,
oh yeah, I think it actually leaves room for a follow-up short film I'm going to do, but
that's good.
I have a pitch. I'll even put it out there real quick, just some little bit of it. In this next short that we're going to do, it's going to be a lot more intimate, lot less than ambitious than our last one, but it's Kenobi waking up over and over and having a dark cave kind of thing going on where he keeps fighting Darth Vader, kind of like in this episode where it's just all out. He'll go through it a couple times and he kills him every time, but wakes up still unsettled and not assured about it all. And so, but then Yoda's kind of conjuring up a little like training for him, and he learns to surrender completely. And I thought that's where they were heading with the vision shit. But he surrenders and learns the trick he'll apply in A New Hope. And instead of killing him on the final thing in this short, he will at peace, go through the first time, allowing Vader to kill him in this dark cave. And then he will be enlightened, and then he's ready to be at peace. And even I've got a way to where it actually makes sense of complementing how they fight in The New Hope.
What's that first one out now? It's got to be over 10 million views. It's got to be 20 million views. I mean, what is that thing right now?
Yeah, it's done really well, and that's another thing I personally, selfishly love about this series is that like our short film, if you watch it and watch the series right after, it's congruent, and it's almost like I want to believe that they looked at it and like winked to us a little.
That. Have you seen his short yet? I
want to see it.
It's really good. All right, I got JAMIE Costa. Jamie, how long do we got you for? You for the episode?
Sure, go for it.
Before we do that, I also want to tell you guys about RUMPL blankets. And Steph, have you tried these yet?
No, but I love blankets.
These you have no idea. This blanket. So I needed a blanket because my daughter plays soccer. So you go out in the grass, you're watching them play, and you need something to sit on. And I was like, I had like old stuff that my wife had. Take this blanket, and they sent this to me, and I'm like, let me try it. It is so comfortable, and there's not a lot of blankets out there that can withstand outdoors. And RUMPL has over 135 prints, and it's perfect for whether it's indoors or outdoors. You can take it to the beach, you can take it camping, picnic, or just on your porch if you're hanging out, having a glass of wine or whatever. I love it. It's super, super comfortable, and I bring it everywhere with me now. It's weatherproof, it's durable, it's just a cozy blanket, and it's made with the same technical material used in premium outdoor gear and activewear. RUMPL is on a mission to introduce the world to better blankets. Each blanket is made from 60 recycled water bottles, which is awesome. They recycle over 5 million plastic water bottles a year. So they also make products that can be used in the great outdoors, on your couch. I love it. So if you want to save 15%, what you do is you go to rumpl.com/bigthing. Learn more and use that code BIGTHING. One more time, 15% off. Use that code BIGTHING. I love it. It's really great. All right, back here, it's myself, Steph Sabraw, and JAMIE Costa, and we're talking about the Obi-Wan finale. Some of these, I do have, poor Jamie can't see any of these posts. I'm going to figure out how to do, eventually you'll be able to see the screen too, but I'm just very proud of myself right now, Jamie, that I was even able to bring you in. I learned how to do that. I don't know.
I'm proud I was able to figure it out on my end too.
Well, it worked. Well, no, you didn't do anything wrong. I just figured there was a setting that I had to do. But does anybody know why Reva was wearing a hood in this episode? She didn't wear a hood the whole episode, the whole series. Why is she wearing a hood in this episode? Is there a reason?
She had already made her presence known in Tatooine, I think. So she just kind of wanted to maybe have a sneaky entrance or whatever.
Yeah, you're making excuses.
Also,
too.
she's like sick right now. She was stabbed through the stomach.
Why she need a?
Well, when you're sick, you wear sunglasses. You feel ugly. You want to be more covered up.
It's a bad day, guys.
You guys are reaching. You're reaching. She's got. This is the same woman. I guess maybe because she was hanging people in Times Square and doing all that. She wanted to keep a low profile, but right away she showed, and then she takes her hood off. So I mean, so much for that. But you see what I'm saying though?
But just the hood.
But why? You know the answer to why she wore a hood?
Why?
Because it was very clear at the end. What they wanted to do is they wanted to show the parallel between her and Anakin. That was the whole reason she wore the hood. And she wore it at the very end, and she had it at the end because then they could then do that blend between her and showing Anakin. And she even says, which I thought was a very sweet and a great moment between her and Obi-Wan, the best moment, I think, of the character, where she's like, am I just like him? And she's bawling, the tears are coming out, and he's like, you're not, no, not at all. And she's like, I let them down. You didn't let them down. You actually did them justice. That was great. And I understand. So that was kind of the quiz for you guys. I understand why she was wearing the hood, but it also is, like they're banging you over the head with it, going, she's gonna be like Anakin. No, she's not.
Yeah, the show like really dug into the parallels. Like even when you were talking about the Ahsoka and Darth Vader battle, where she took off part of his mask, that was the left side, and then Obi got his right side, and then it like is to get to the Luke got the whole mask off. Yeah,
that's true, and that's where, to go back to that, that's where I think music is so effective. Like if you put both of those fights together, and obviously there's more to this fight, like money, live action, all of it, right? But if you put the music of Kevin Kiner and what he does in that scene compared to this, there's no comparison. There's no comparison. But the other, and here's another question, and I am here today to ask all the questions as far as of why, because maybe again you can give me the answers that I'm looking for. But Obi-Wan Kenobi this is 9 years before New Hope. He's strong in the Force when we see him in New Hope, but he's not lifting up rocks, Rey style strong.
No, yeah, that was like fucking Palpatine's like.
He's throwing bombs. He's throwing bombs, and it was devastating to watch Vader get hit with those, and like him going, oh, like great. But what the hell does Obi-Wan need Luke for if he can do that?
Well, 9 years.
Yes.
9? Just 9 years. Just 9.
I mean, 9 years later, I want to see Alec Guinness like a deleted scene, like. You should have seen me.
I used to throw rocks.
I was lifting all kinds of shit, throwing it at
It's the truth. It's the truth. But yeah, man, it was. It's just at that point, it does. You've got to be able to, and I understand that by the time you get to this, after seeing the other episodes, you can't be as nitpicky as I am being right now, because that's what the show's been giving you since episode 1, right? But it doesn't take away that there's just a lot of questions it doesn't play into it's the handling of tying everything in wasn't done as smoothly as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I think that people have an issue with overall. But I will tell you this. I liked the series. I'll put Mandalorian season 2, Mandalorian season 1, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett. But I don't want to see a second season of Boba Fett, and I don't want to see a second season of Obi-Wan. I think for me,
they ended it where you wouldn't, right? Where the one, because I was looking for where they would leave the doors open, and the one line that really sealed it was at the very end with Leia. Or whoever, he goes, you know where to contact me. And I was like, wait, does that mean like, as in like, we'll have more seasons? Or was it like, I would assume it's more like, I'll be here for when you hit me up in A New Hope.
When your planet blows up.
Yes, that right. Or but before it's about to, yeah. And that's what it was intended for. Every time they ask Deborah Chow or Hayden Christensen or anybody about it, they all say the same thing. It was intended as a one-off, but we're open to talking about season 2 now because Kathleen Kennedy said that. Once she said that, then they all started saying that. But that was
the money signs will definitely open it back up if this proves, especially today's episode, if it just like draws in everybody or whatever.
Well, the ratings were out of control. The ratings were out of control for this series, and even I can't even imagine what the finale did. But that's also because. And Ewan McGregor was clearly part of that, but Vader was a massive part of that.
Yeah.
I don't think you can keep. I think you'll start to cheapen it if Vader's just chasing Obi-Wan around the whole entire time leading up to New Hope. It's like you can't. I think that's what I think they did very well in this episode is what you just mentioned, Jamie. Like they set that up with Leia really well. Of like, when you need me, you know where to find me. He says to Jimmy Smits, and he's like, yeah, you know where to find me if you need me. Calling me, and they do. Great, set up perfectly.
But don't leave so much information on the voicemail.
100%. Next time, just make it vague. Just make it vague. But they set up a bunch of things. They said it. I mean, the stuff with Owen though. Owen seems to like Obi-Wan by the end of this series. Why is he all pissed off again 9 years later? What did Obi-Wan do? He still the milk off his porch.
It's kind of the similar note, if you recall the short film I made, where like there's a little bit of a head nod between them, like, all right, like we're good,
right?
But keep away,
keep your distance, Yeah. But like, I just don't think that they need. I would much rather see a Vader spinoff series.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Like, if they do a spinoff, I think it would be a Darth Vader series, and it would be like him letting Obi-Wan chase go.
Yeah,
and then they'll work with Palpatine. Because
they set that up with Palpatine. Yeah. That's where you could go into it, because that was a great scene where they had, he says to him, "You're passed with your old master," blah, blah. And he's like, my allegiance is to you. All right, then let's do it, punk. And that's it. And that's 6 episodes, but make it about Vader. Make it about Vader.
Right. That was what did y'all think about that? I thought that switch was way too quick in a little moment where Vader's like, "We're gonna kill everybody till we find him. We're gonna blow up planets," and then his master's like, I think you're a little too much," and then he's like, "You're right. You're my master. I won't ever think about it again."
Well, that I didn't mind, Jamie, because
that's their relationship.
That's their relationship. It's like there's nobody can control that pit bull except one guy.
Yeah, he's the best groomer in the world.
100%.
That's what we could have seen that. Well, I guess you would wait for a Vader series, but that's where I think the Reva Vader series could have been its own thing, where she's doing this inquisitive stuff, and because you have Inquisitors and Vader kind of paired a lot, right, usually in comics and stuff. So that with a little bit of Emperor stuff, like that could be its own series, and then splice in. I thought that's what they were going to do in this one, is kind of drop in maybe a character like Thrawn to like launch us towards thinking about his series or something.
Well, I think Thrawn. Where'd you go? Thrawn's going to be a big part of
Ahsoka.
The Ahsoka series.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's why they're saving that for, and which I thought was great, because you don't have too many people, and I think the fact that they had the way that they led that up, they could lead. That's why if they do not a sequel to this or part 2 to this series, it's like just spin off the Vader. If you're going to do a legacy character, do Vader. I think that Disney and Lucasfilm, and I also want to be careful. This is a Disney thing, because it drives me nuts. It drives me crazy in the comments section when people always go, "Well, Disney doesn't know how to make Star Wars." Well, you should say Lucasfilm doesn't know how to make Star Wars, because Lucasfilm is who Disney gives them the money. They can give them notes, but it's Lucasfilm that comes to them and goes, "Hey, we want to make this series. We're going to make this series about Obi-Wan. Here's who we're putting in." And then Disney will also say, "Well, hey, that person's kind of family friendly. Can you do this, this, and this?" And we're like, yeah, but Lucasfilm is calling the shots on the movies and TVs that shows that they make. So when people say that, well, Disney, Star Wars, and Disney gives them money. Disney gives them money. Lucasfilm makes the call. However, I do think that there will be a note that will come from Disney if Lucasfilm says, we want to run a series, and we're going to run a series on Vader. Well, that's risky. Yeah. So you're running with a villain on Disney Plus, because that is their brand, so they can have.
Could have paired Reva, because then we could have rooted for Reva in an interesting way, and then it would have been balanced, I think.
Well, maybe that's what in this. I'm just curious if they're going to take the shot, and if they're going to take, because I think that from what they're saying is the Acolyte is the series that's going to run with villains, because it's more. I mean, you'll have good guys in it, but it's supposed to be about the Sith, and there's rumors that like Revan and Bane and all these people, like, you know, they are mentioned and talked about. So, I'm curious how they're gonna do that and how they're gonna lead with it, because leading with a villain, you'd have to have somebody be the good guy in that series, and you don't want it to be Obi-Wan again in a Vader series, but you could, and that's why I think Andor is now set up to do really well.
Yeah.
Because all Andor has to be is decent, feel like Rogue One, have a darker, little more serious tone. Look a little bit more like Star Wars and not so much TV-ish. And I think I think this show, I think people, if if Andor is good, like good, I think people, you're going to hear, who would have thought Andor is so much better than Obi-Wan? You're going to hear it, because with the team that they've got over there.
Yeah, solid.
It's a solid team. And that trailer,
can you
looked
imagine
really good.
if this show, the Kenobi series, was shot? I think this is one of the most beautiful Star Wars films shot. If it was shot like Rogue One.
Yeah, I know.
Or it looks like it's following the Rogue One, like, you know, very high production value cinematic look.
That was the problem with Obi-Wan, is that sometimes it looked like TV. Sometimes it looked like TV.
It was TV, you know, at points. And then at points, it was very, especially today, there was like a night, like you see where they could have sat longer and more cinematic vibe.
Yeah. I would have almost been okay with 4 like 1 hour episodes, you know, like, or similar to like what they're doing with Stranger Things, with these hour and 10-minute episodes, like 4 episodes, and just dive deep into the character and don't be like, don't just assume. That's the reason why TV, I think, it has the reason to make Star Wars so much more special, is don't assume because you're making Star Wars that people just want to see the big explosions and the fights and just like, dive deeper. Like, let's get some more dialogue heavy and those types of things.
Yeah, those will come. And I mean, you'll talk to any Star Wars fan, and some of the favorite, especially if they're into the prequels, some of the favorite moments are things like the little talk with Plagueis and Anakin, you know, and
Plagueis.
Plagueis.
I know what you mean about Plagueis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the best moment.
Yeah, it is. All right, before we move on, also want to tell you guys once again about Athletic Greens. I've been talking about Athletic Greens for a while, and you know I've been talking about Athletic Greens, and Steph's now tried it. She loves it. Jamie, I got to get you some Athletic Greens, man. You're going to love it.
I just stole more.
Take some more. Do you have? I have a bunch.
I love it.
It's really good. So it's amazing. I started taking it because I'm not a big vitamins person, and Brett Sheridan was the one who's like, you got to do it. You got to try it. You're gonna like it. It's gonna give you some energy. And I wanted better gut health. I wanted more energy. I wanted an optimized immune system. And I wasn't a big pills, vitamins person. I wanted a supplement also that tastes great. And so people kept hyping it up, and now I'm on the hype train. You just take one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens. You put 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods. I stick it in a bottle. I shake it up. I love it. That's how I do it. And it's like once in the morning before breakfast, and it benefits my life by just better sleep, digestion, energy, all of it. I give it to my friends every time they come in here, and Steph just stole 2 from me, and I'm fine with it. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals. It supports better sleep quality and recovery, and it costs you less than $3 a day. You invest in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews, and it is trusted by leading health experts. So it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. But you have to go to athleticgreens.com/bigthing. athleticgreens.com/bigthing. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. As I mentioned to you guys many times over, you got to go to the help yourself out with Athletic Greens. And I see more people going and checking out Athletic Greens. And let me know when you do, please. And I will let them know. And it helps out the show tremendously. People are always asking, how can you help out the show? You like a sponsor? go into the link in our description, get yourself one of those, use our codes, and enjoy yourselves. All right, moving on. Before I get into, go ahead, Jamie.
Boost your metachlorine count with Athletic Greens.
That's 100% right. That's 100% right. Before I get into the a little bit more on Obi-Wan and the future of Star Wars TV, did you happen to see my little scoop that I posted the other day about Cal Kestis?
Yes.
You saw it too. So thank you, Jamie.
Damn,
thank you, Jamie. Jamie's showing you up, Steph. So
I will not be showing up, Steph. She can
here,
all day.
watch what I do now.
No, Jamie, you can't see, but I just got booted.
I just moved.
Oh,
Steph,
no.
I just moved Steph out of the frame. She's back. She's back. Like Liam Neeson, she's back.
Yep.
But yeah, so someone had reached out to me. We talked, someone that I have trusted before with scoops in the past, and we talked about how it's not necessarily confirmed yet, but the scoop had said, the source had said that Cameron Monaghan, who plays Cal Kestis in the video game, has signed on to do a series, a live action series for Disney Plus, playing the role of Cal Kestis. Now, this could make sense in between the time period of the first game and the second game, how much it ties into the time period of Obi-Wan. Who knows? They said there's no production date signed on. There's no production date set at the moment. He's just signed on. Things could change. You never know. And I stated it very heavy inside of my report that it was a rumor at the moment, but I do trust this particular person who says that Monaghan is indeed signed on. Where do you stand on this, Jamie? Would you like to see this series, especially if it tied into this particular time period? And does this kind of go into what we're talking about of maybe going away from some of the legacy characters, staying inside of that time period, but developing some new peeps?
Yeah, oh yeah, very much. I mean, I think that's the smartest move that Disney could do, is like weave in these new established characters, like from the games, etc., into, you know, shows like Kenobi or whatever. That's why I wish him in a little bit or something towards Fallen Order more than the Inquisitors in Kenobi, so that you kind of, because I mean, I already thought they were going to do something, because in like Mando or Fett, I can't remember, we're on Tatooine, and his little gadget guy is on Tatooine.
Right,
with the
right. It looks just like him. Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe that wasn't the same, but I thought it was the same.
Yeah, some people did.
But like,
a lot of people thought it was BD1. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I think it's a super smart move for Disney. I think that I would watch it. I would totally watch a Cal show. Like I love the game. I thought it had good story and stuff.
What do you think, Steph? Is that something you'd be interested in? Do you think it could work?
Yeah, I really like this actor in general.
Yeah.
I think he's awesome.
Shameless.
Yeah, and I love that they designed the character after his look and voice. I think that's dope. And people really like this. I tried to play this game. I found it pretty hard for a beginner gamer.
Just keep falling off hills and stuff?
Yeah,
Same
like
with me.
I just couldn't.
Same. I just watched the story on YouTube.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, the puzzles get a little redundant and a little much. Sometimes I would have to look up how you get past
every time. I just kept falling off things, and I'm like, look, man, you got to make this very simple for me.
It is Fallen Order. Like I really kept falling. Like it wasn't.
I got stuck in a lake, and I was just running around the lake for like I don't know how long, and I'm like, come on, man, just show me like. That's why I love certain games. Like I think like Uncharted. Is after a while they
show an arrow or
it's like,
something.
hey, stupid, go this way. Like that's I need more.
Oh, we've got a special one over here.
Yeah.
I need more of that. I need more of like, hey, dum go this way because you're taking too much time. This.
Yeah, but the story's dope,
Story's
and
great.
I think that Star Wars fans are like begging for characters like Din Djarin that are outside of the characters that we always see,
and still connected inside the time period. That's what I thought Mandalorian does so well, is that it was able to connect certain things, and that's why I never had an issue with bringing Luke. I've said this many times over because it would make sense. That's when he would, but they don't rely on him. Mm-hmm. Some people say maybe they relied on him in Boba Fett, but it's still, I think that was to set up where we're going in season 3
with
of
Grogu
Mandalorian. And once you see, because I think the reason that they did that also was to say, look, we have so much story to tell in season 3. We don't want to spend a full episode of having Din go all the way back there, get him back, whatever.
And Ahsoka.
Right. It's like we got to let's put him in like this. What they should have maybe called the Boba Fett should be an anthology series or whatever the hell it was, but that's another conversation altogether. But if you see, did you get? I don't know if it leaked, Jamie, but you were at Star Wars Celebration, weren't you? Yeah, I saw you. I saw you for when were you? Did you get into any of the panels?
No.
Okay.
A few of my friends that were holding their own panels, but I didn't get into like some of the main ones.
Well, so do you get a chance to see the Mandalorian? I don't know if it leaked or not, but did you get a chance to see the Mandalorian thing yet?
Yeah, my YouTube has like ushered me in, videos saying like it's leaked here, check it out, and I just haven't looked at it yet.
Because it's awesome, and like, they showed us one. The first one they showed was really good too. Steph, the short one, was great. But then they showed like the extended one. That extended one is gonna kick people's ass when it comes out. Like
yes,
like that's why I was saying also earlier today. I don't care because this one I will say. That's the difference with Obi-Wan and Boba Fett. Like, there were a lot of people who didn't like Boba Fett, but I don't think Boba Fett was the type of character where so many people, like, you saw more discourse in this show than since Last Jedi, right? Not as heavy, but it was there, and there were people battling and stuff. And I think that's because Obi-Wan's such a beloved character, a kind of a legacy character, and all those things. But the difference is, and I stand by this with television, this show will be in the rearview mirror by August, and then everybody's gonna start talking about Andor. And like I said, if Andor delivers, then people are gonna be, oh man, who would have thought Andor was the better series? And then and then Mandalorian comes out in February, and you're gonna forget about it, as opposed to sitting in 2 years.
I don't understand that. Is what I don't understand. They could have shot this series more cinematic, and that's why. I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. Like Are you
saying in the way it looks, or the way it was written, or both?
A little bit of both. Yeah. But I would say, especially certain TV aspects, we can point to the easy ones, like Leia getting chased around in the cardboard.
Oh, that was my least favorite scene of the entire series.
In the woods.
The woods.
To me, I was looking at that, and if I was literally at the high ends of Disney and Star Wars, and they were kind of like showing that, for you, I would be like, that's not leaving the room,
right?
No, but that's why I believe, like, it just seems like they were like, sure,
that works.
Sure.
Yeah, it tells us they'll be fine with it. Just it's like, and she's doing like these slides and stuff. I just watched it again, but here is the counter to that, where. It's not a very great counter, but it is the counter where what that Disney or Lucasfilm exec would probably say to you at that point is, "Oh, my 10-year-old will love it," which is not
right.
wrong.
That's
this
true.
Is not that. That's what I would have argued, is that Obi-Wan is the one show that I wouldn't have said this one's the one for the kids.
Right, and that's
this is the one. The adults that want to just sit in there and hear them talk about lore, or see Obi-Wan slowly arc into revelation, all the things, instead of like a little kid's show, Yeah,
and that's where that. But again, the counter to that has to be, we want to get everybody involved, because I will tell you this: I watched Obi-Wan with my 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Loved Leia. Like that's
she's
loved
I
Leia.
get
and
she's so like Viv.
Yeah, and that's what Vivian wants. What my daughter wants to watch.
But see, there you're highlighting the deal. She should have had her own show. If she still won't be, I don't know. She might still. But to me, like, she was so well cast. Again, I love some of the stuff with like Kenobi and her dad and stuff like that. Like, I loved her scenes. But it's like,
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. They put Leia in it too much.
Oh, yeah. Let her show be her show.
I feel the same with all of it. I feel the same with. I mean, when you sell an Obi-Wan show to people, it should be about Obi-Wan. When you sell a show, and he's in it. And the counter to that could also be like, well, all Star Wars has like these counter characters that are doing these things too. And that's where I just said I didn't mind when like Luke shows up in Mandalorian, because it made sense. I loved seeing young Leia. I loved seeing and knowing why she was there and having that scene. I think once you get that kidnapping and they take her or whatever, and he rescues her, get her back to Alderaan.
You just wanted more Obi-Wan in an Obi-Wan series, which I to go back to your point about the discourse about this show specifically, like I feel like that's because Obi-Wan has always been like the linchpin of the entire Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like this entire story that they're telling within Star Wars. Obi-Wan is the thing that people liked in the prequels. We loved him obviously in episode 4. So I feel like there was so much pressure for him to continue to be the connected piece.
Yeah.
And if you're like me and it connected just fine, because I was a prequel baby, I feel like it works more for people like me. But if you like were an original, then it's a little more puzzled together differently.
Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah, good.
do you think it connected just fine and it could have connected further, or are you actually like, no, I love the way it connected? Like,
Yeah, I love the way it connected, but I definitely think it connected more. I'm with you guys where I just am so thirsty for Star Wars dialogue that we never get.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want the lore. I want more dialogue.
Deep dive.
Yeah.
Just deep dive a little bit more. And that's the thing, is that it's not like, oh, it costs more money to make these episodes 45 minutes. Add more dialogue.
Yeah.
Here's a perfect example. The scene with Bill Burr and Din in that scene in the prison. When you learn more about Bill Burr's character, Bill Burr turned everybody around on him from going from, oh, that's Bill Burr, he's got a Boston accent, to that's a layered character, man. Mm-hmm. And like moments like that were not in this show, and they should have been. Like, and you know who had a moment like that? Tala kind of had a moment like that, you know, like where she was talking about
before she died,
when she talked about the things that she was doing. They were giving her those moments, and because she's such a fantastic actress, she was delivering on them, but then she was gone. Right? We didn't really have.
I felt she was so wasted because she's so good in it and for such a short amount of time. But again, I think you could just put her in the Cal show or something. You know, the Cal one.
This show, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but she. I didn't mind her. I didn't see, but that was the angle. I actually liked having her on that on that side of it. I thought because the stuff that they did, what they could have, what they could have explored more with inside of this show, what you can know within Obi-Wan, and branching out to, because you can't just in any show in how writing works, you can't just have one show be about one storyline and not have a storyline B, a storyline C. You just can't do that, because it devalues storyline A eventually. So if you did something along the line with storyline B, storyline A is Vader and finding out Vader and trying to bring his friend back, but inside of this branches off into this whole thing with the Jedi who are on the run, the Quinlan Vos stuff, all of that, the side missions, and finding out a little bit more about the Emperor.
Real quick, like, you know how like the Jedi were like in this safe haven and like whatever. Are those Jedi actually? Because nobody pulled out a lightsaber.
Well, not the ones that are those people weren't Jedi.
The one, like, because obviously there's one guy who's pretending and lying about being a Jedi.
No, those weren't. No, I think they were coming. The way they said, they were coming in and like kind of passing through, and those people helped them. That's why Obi-Wan says to him at the end, where he's just like, "You guys have helped out so many different Jedi over the years."
Like the lady that we were just talking about, I can't remember names of characters, but but she was she's like, yeah, I'm the in person of like, there's more than you think Jedi coming in and out, and like I thought she was hosting and keeping safe Jedis and stuff. She was, but not there though. So she was kind of like shepherding them kind of in and out. And that's so. Who are those people? Like, who are those people?
Those are other people, like refugees and things that have along the way they're not all. Those weren't all
rebels, I guess.
Yeah. Or like what was O'Shea Jackson's character's name? He, like, his wife was a Jedi, so maybe people like him were
people of
Jedi,
connection. It's people who believe in the religion and believe in them and don't believe the propaganda against them, and that would have been fascinating. Like, and then, you know, the imagine a scene where Obi-Wan at that point has to somehow spy it up and go back to Coruscant somehow, you know, and a scene there of something like what's Coruscant like at that point. So there's a lot of different things you can go into the what ifs many times over, but either way, I think there's some great moments in it. There's some great stuff that you can take overall. I am going to rewatch it again with my daughter because she's enjoying it for sure. And then that's what I said about TV. And then I'm going to move on to the next one. And now Andor's right around the corner. Mm-hmm. And if it's done right, who knows? We might be part of that, saying, this is just a better made show, because I'm watching right now. I just finished Stranger Things, and now you get the new. Did you watch? Are you up to date yet?
No.
Okay, Jamie, are you watching Stranger Things?
Yeah, it's good. I'm on episode 3.
Dude,
it's super.
This show is.
I heard it's sick.
It's so good.
This season.
It's so good, and it's so like that.
They turned the dial up out of nowhere.
They really did, and it's really good television. And then I'm on episode 6 of season 1 of The Boys right now. So you're just talking about You're just talking. Oh, it's so good. You're just talking about superior television right now. And it's not like you can't look over, and this one you can say Disney. It's not like Disney and Lucasfilm doesn't have the cash and the firepower to make shows like that. Yeah. You don't have to dumb it down. You can go fire it in, and that's why I think you bring in someone like a Tony Gilroy and to do, because they could wind up shocking you here. And this Andor show might turn out to be one of the best surprises that we've seen thus far, because from everything we've heard, Andor looks like it's going to do exactly what we're asking for, and that's dive deep. Let's go to the psyche. Let's go a spy show, because you can't just rely on the overcooking of the volume and all that stuff. You gotta dive deep, and I think that's what this is going to be.
Yeah, I think Andor is going to be really. After that trailer, I was kind of like, that's exactly what I needed to see to be really on board for this.
I'm starting to get sold more, and I wonder how people who are not a fan of Kenobi are going to feel. There's going to be two types of people that are watching Andor, right? Well, I guess more than two, but I mean, there's going to be skeptical people that I'm talking about, the people that didn't like the Obi-Wan series. It's going to be skeptical people who are going to go in saying, "I hope it's better than this. If not, I'm done," and love it, but hopefully this one's good, or I'm not watching it because I'm just over it, right? I think that's a disservice to the fact that it's you should always give something a chance.
Out of respect for Diego Luna, we all should be watching.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'm excited for it. But one more thing before we move on, as I mentioned to you guys already. Now, Jamie, I don't know if Jamie knows about Storyblocks. Storyblocks, because Jamie's a video creator. Obviously, there's a lot of great video creators out there. Storyblocks exists to help bring your stories to life without sacrificing your vision due to time, budget, resources. Every creator should have a Storyblocks membership. They have an ever-growing library. It is demand-driven. They are constantly optimizing and adding to their 4K HD footage. They have After Effects, Premiere Pro, templates, music, images, sound effects, all of it. It's phenomenal, and people have been using it. People have been excited about it. Winston Marshall just signed up for it recently. He's loving it. You can choose a plan that works for you from their selection of flexible subscriptions that scale to give you all the content and tools you need to focus on, and don't worry about budget. Because the problem is that you guys know the video is easily, especially over the last 10, 12, 15 years, video is the most effective way to capture an audience's attention. And as a result, modern storytellers are now challenged with creating more video content at a higher quality, involving more voices in the process, and distributing on more platforms than ever before. You can go into Storyblocks and go and get this stuff. There's a premiere package that they have, but you guys face a lot of barriers when you're making video. We know this, whether it's output demands, time, budget, knowledge, creative inspiration, passion, burnout, mental health. Storyblocks makes it possible for creators to keep up with the growing demands for modern video content, so you can bring all your stories to life and stop sacrificing your vision due to time, budget, or resources. Now go to storyblocks.com/bigthing. Check one of their premier plans. Storyblocks.com/bigthing. All right. So we wind up, wind down, whatever. Overall, let's give our score in this series out of 10. So
the whole series, or
the whole series? The whole series. Well, I think that is what I will say in a credit, though. This does play like a full-on movie. It's like there is Stranger Things.
This could have been a film. The way it played to me today, I'm like, oh, I see all the stuff. I think that was the meat and potatoes could have been stretched further throughout the series, and just like you said, make it either a shorter, tight, like 3 to 4 hour episodes, or just a nice lush movie.
Yes, but I would Stranger Things again feels like a full, and The Boys feel like a full on, continuous just film. Right, there's no like fillers. There's a couple filler. Like I think episode 4 was the most filler out of all of them, but everything else kind of tied in. 1, 2, 3, and 5 and 6 all kind of tied in together.
I'll admit the Obi-Wan show didn't feel like it had fillers. It's just what kind of my points earlier is that I just think some other shows that maybe were already developed kind of got pushed into this show.
Maybe. But so that's why I say we should rank it out of 10. What do you give this show? So we'll start with Steph.
8.5.
Wow, that's high. That's a good ranking. Jamie.
It's so difficult because it's like, hey, if compared to because I wasn't a huge fan of the newest movies of Disney's and the episodic movies. So compared to what I was getting from that, I was excited. So I would push into the 7s.
Yeah, same. I'm going to go between 7 and 7.5. I think after the finale, I think the finale delivered enough really great Star Wars imagery to push me to 7.5. But I'm not even exaggerating about it. If they would have put the classic music into this scene, it'd probably be between 8 and 5, because I think that it would have elevated the scenes so much. Like, just imagine the first time you see Leia. Just very slightly, you hear Leia's theme when they reveal it.
You'd have cried. You would have.
And I'm not saying get rid of the composer's music. Do the same thing you did with Kiner. You just blend it, because the way that she does in this series at the end, she's got this great theme that's kind of her own thing, and then
really well, yeah.
And then she blends in the Imperial March, and then she blends in Leia's theme, and it hit. Why they didn't do that for the whole series is beyond me. I think it pushes it to because, as I said, I watched this, and I think I sent it to you, Jamie. The scene where they put somebody had placed together the music for
like
episode 3,
and
instead when Obi-Wan shows up and Anakin and Darth Vader's there, the Duel of Fates plays, Battle of Heroes plays with a hint of Imperial March, and it's just so much more emotional and powerful. But nothing's recut as far as the battle itself. The battle itself it just intensifies it, and I am so excited.
Because you have these earned emotions behind music that make you go, oh right, during that fight and stuff.
I'm so excited to see the YouTubers that do this to put that music behind it, because I think it's going to elevate even more so. But either way, the series, it was a great, and I'm glad that we got it. I'm glad that we were able to see it. I was so excited to see both Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen back. I think that Moses Ingram absolutely went from. I did not like her performance in the first 2 episodes. After that, I think that she, for what she was given, and I really think she delivers in this last episode. Still don't think the writing was phenomenal. I don't think her character was given justice in how she was written. But I think she did a great job. I didn't have a lot of problems with any of the performances, to be honest. My biggest critiques, like I said, lack of music, storyline beats, and focus of story were my main problems. But the stuff that we did get, the Star Wars imagery was juicy. But that's where I lay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim.
It feels like just I don't know. It feels like I loved Rave. I actually am. I don't know. That sounds crazy, but like her character, her arc, her acting, everything. I actually am very good with. Yeah. I just felt early in a wrong place and trying to be squeezed into another centered focused show that I think just you could have really given her own show with the Inquisitors or whatever.
I think that you do Moses Ingram a disservice by doing that. I think you put her in this place where everyone's just like wanting this particular show.
Yeah, it's very unfair because it creates this stupid politicizing dissension. Which is so sad. It's so sad.
It is, and it takes away from what she's trying to do and just do her job. But I think that, like, you look at something like The Acolyte, there's not going to be a lot of, like, no one knows what The Acolyte is about. No one really knows. They just know there's Sith involved in this to do, and it takes place 1,000 years. They have such a great cushion, same way that Mandalorian did, because you didn't know anything about anybody. So you can set it as long as we like the characters that are presented, and if a character like Reva shows up in that type of show, you're like, okay, well, that's who they're focusing on. I didn't know who they were focusing on. I guess that's who we're focusing on. When you tell me...
because they didn't give Reva enough justice of some of these things that I had questions about, where I was like, wait, how did she know? And what was her motive actually coming to... Like, there's it was a little too murky that I realized oh, there it is again. Like, she should have had her own show called The Inquisitors, and she could be the main
what I mean,
one.
though. That's why it was the writing. It was the writing, and I think that for people who are going after her, unfair.
Those people just like the attention. I think they're just like
maybe so. And I just think that it's unfair for anybody who's just doing a job to get hammered like that. But I think that I do think that the show should not have been focused on that character as much as it was. The show, like you said, Jamie, introduce that character in a different show, allow that character to flourish where the expectations are not going to be on.
Allow her to breathe.
Yeah, we're getting an Obi-Wan show. We're getting an Obi-Wan show. We're going to do this. Who's that?
Obi-Wan should have had more time to breathe as well. Where like just let these characters like make an impact on us.
It's just you just got to give. That's why I use that example of, and even like Ahsoka, right? So Ahsoka, Ahsoka is essentially going to be a Rebels live action show.
Yeah.
And we know that as Rebels fans, we know that. Now, if Steph, putting in the reverse here, if you had a show where you've seen the trailer now, and you know that it's called Ahsoka, and we know we're getting a Rebels show, and then they introduce some new character named Lewis, and and there's
damn it, Lewis,
right? And there's this whole story now about Lewis trying to find his way, and it takes the focus off the Rebel storyline. You're gonna be like, well, what the hell's going on? It's like,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think that they went too heavy-handed in the first second episode with her, and then I feel like it really low. Like she was she was completely the B plot though. The end,
she became the B plot at the end for sure. But it's still but they relied so much on it that even when you have this whole, and again, a disservice to her and the character, you're in the middle of this big match between Vader and Kenobi and this battle. And then it switches to her, and you're like,
I even said, "Don't pull away from this shot."
Right?
I said that out loud. I was like, "Don't go away from this shot,"
because you know what's about to happen. You know she's going to turn, so you're like, "Okay, I get it. Wrap it up. Let's get back to the fight." Yeah. And that's not fair to her. It's not
fair at all, because when they would pull away from this deep, crazy Obi-Wan Vader fighting stuff,
sad,
emotional. All the things you would switch to Reva in the desert hunting the kid for we don't know exactly the reason, and it highlights itself as not as strong or interesting, and it's unfair again. It's just like
it's not fair to her. It's not fair to her. She does everything that she's asked to do, and I think that there's a very strong performance. I didn't see, was it Macbeth that she was in with Denzel? I think
I killed it in that, and I love that movie. If you haven't seen that,
I haven't, but I heard nothing but great things about her and how she is, and you could see why she gets the adulation, the acclamations that she does, in that film.
They just really wanted to show the parallel between her and Vader,
yes.
And then I think like all of Star Wars is parallels between the dark and light side. Like that's what it is a lot of the times, and I think this show was like a metaphorical personification of that.
Yeah. All right, listen, Jamie, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. We finally got you on.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. We'll get you in studio one of these days too. So for Jamie Costa, please. Jamie's not even on social, so I can't tell you where to find him. So you got to.
I am on YouTube. That's my only thing.
You'll find him. That's right. Find him on YouTube. A while ago, but you find them on.
2020 made me realize it was unhealthy to be on social media.
Look how happy he is.
You said nope.
No, he said no. I'm done with it. But you can find Jamie. Jamie's like Obi-Wan. He pops up every 7 years. And Steph Sabraw, you can find her at Steph Sabraw, World Girls, and everything else. So make sure that you check us out. Mike will most likely be back. Won't be back.
Chicken.
Who knows? But we'll be back next week, and we're going to do fan questions, and we're going to start a Mandalorian rewatch. I don't know when that's going to happen yet, because I know we're going to do Andor. Andor's coming up. We'll be doing the same thing with Andor, but we'll probably doing a lot of the kind of lead up, take questions from you guys leading up until August when that happens. So that seemed to be pretty popular, and I think that's it. So for Jamie Costa and Steph Sabraw, we'll see you guys on the flip side. Make sure once again that you subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for being part of the show. Thank you to Jamie Costa, and we'll see you on the flip side. Peace.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.